Elijah went over to him and said, call a little louder. Maybe he's asleep. Maybe on vacation. So they cry louder. Begin to jump around the altar and go on. You know how some churches, they think it's all in the jumping, in the dance, and jumping and dancing is good. But when you stop jumping, when you stop dancing, what you know about God? But it's sad when a person that's a babe tells you, well, I've been talking to so-and-so. And then in your mind, you like, that's the problem. We got to get you away from so-and-so. Oh, y'all ain't liking this word. Oh, God, it's tight tonight. There are some people, when you going through, don't hang with them. Don't hang with them. Only thing they know to do is to complain. You got to get around somebody that's battle tested, that's war proven, that has been through tough trials and still got their joy. Still know God is able. Do I have any folk that know God is able in the midst of a storm? Anybody know God will quiet the storm? Now this church, because of the way we get taught, if you've been here for years, you should know how to handle trouble by now. Without trouble, stealing your joy. I've taught you that well. With the help of God, that it make no sense for you to be sitting somewhere depressed about a problem you can't solve when I showed you biblically that with God all things are possible. Come on, somebody. And then you wonder where your miracle at. Your miracle is on delay until you express some joy. Let God know you know He's able to do it. See, it's one thing to preach. It's another thing to be battle tested. When it comes to maintaining joy, I'm battle tested. So I can preach it like this tonight. Now look at 1 Kings 18. I want to show you how you can go through things. And if you ain't careful, it'll take your joy. Now Elijah is on Mount Carmel. Has called fire from heaven to consume an offering. And is going to kill 450 false prophets of Baal. It's what many folk call the showdown on Mount Carmel. What Elijah told the false prophets of Baal. Y'all gonna call on Baal, and I'm gonna call on God. And let the God who is God, let him answer by fire. See, there are times that God wants us to move back and let him answer. Let him show up. Let him do what needs. You step back, Cochran. Let me do that. Let me handle that. That's what Elijah told. He said, we're going to call on him. Elijah said, y'all go first. Scripture say they called on Baal from morning to night with no answer. Elijah went over to him and said, call a little louder. Maybe he's asleep. Maybe on vacation. So they cry louder. Begin to jump around the altar and go on. You know how some churches, they think it's all in the jumping, in the dance, and jumping and dancing is good. But when you stop jumping, when you stop dancing, what you know about God? I don't mind the shout, but we got to know something about God. Baal never showed up. When it came Elijah's turn, Elijah told him, there's a sacrifice. But before I call on him, take some water and water it down. They poured a bucket of water all on the altar. Elijah stood back and said, do it a second time. They went ahead and poured it on there a second time. Elijah said, do it a third time. They poured it on there a third time till it soaked the sacrifice and filled up the trench with water. Then Elijah called on his God. And his God answered by fire. Can I say it like we like to say it? God showed up and showed. But let's deal with the text. Are y'all with me? They want to do a whole lot of reading. I had to bring y'all up to date. 1 King 18:36. And it came to pass at the time of the offering of the. Did y'all just see that? After slaying 450 false prophets on Mount Carmel, Elijah gets a message from Jezebel that I'm going to kill you. He basically gets a threat. And this threat, this bona fide prophet allows to depress him. Sorrow not only attached itself to Elijah, but it overtook him to the point to where he ran and hid in a cave and wanted to die. Tell your neighbor, sorrow ain't nothing to play with. Tell somebody else, sorrow ain't nothing to play with. Sorrow will have people running from their problem rather than running to God to solve the problem. Elijah took off because of a threat from a witch. Some of y'all ain't hearing me tonight. And sometimes, like it or not, we'll be testifying on a Sunday. But by Friday, we done got some bad news and done allow sorrow to overtake us. You'll be surprised, people in this church that'll be testifying 1 minute, and the next time you see them, they're not even the same person that gave you the testimony about the wonderful thing God was doing for him or her. I'm trying to show you that if this can happen to a major prophet, as people of God, we have to be on guard. We have to guard our heart, that when we get to going through something, we are not moved by what people say. Elijah will move at the words of Jezebel more so than the words of God. Now listen, when the angel showed up, because I want to show you something about the spirit of sorrow. When the angel showed up and God began to ask Elijah, what are you doing here? The first thing he began to tell God, or one of the main things he told God was, I am the only prophet left. I'm the only one. Tell your neighbor, when you let sorrow overtake you, your discernment will be off. I don't know why I'm thinking the way I'm thinking. You thinking like that because sorrow has taken over. He told God, I am the only one left. Basically, Elijah started acting like he knew everything, when God is the only one who knows everything. God had to straighten Elijah and let him know, look at here, Elijah, I got 7,000 prophets who have not bowed their knee, nor have they kissed Baal. Elijah, you're not the only one that's serving me. Get up and do what I told you to do. But when sorrow overtakes a person, the first thing he or she wants to do is isolate themselves. Elijah went in a cave and hid. Notice earlier where I read to you how he was with his servant, but he left his servant in one place while he went deep into the wilderness. See, when sorrow starts overtaking people, you can see them pulling back. You can see them pulling away from God. And if you talk to them, their discernment, their perception, their understanding is off. And they begin to do what Peter said in 1 Peter 4:12 we shouldn't do. Peter said, think it not what? Concerning what? Which is the what? Tell your neighbor, when sorrow overtakes you, you'll talk crazy. Tell your neighbor, it's real tonight. But tell your neighbor, not only is it real tonight, but it's got to end tonight. See, I ain't preaching like this just to be preaching. I'm saying to somebody, yes, sorrow has overtaken you. Yes, you're saying what you have no business saying. But it's time for you to deal with that sorrowful spirit and know you have the power. You got the authority to kick it out of your life. You don't have to stay down, baby. You can get up tonight. You can get your joy back. You can get your assignment back. You can get whatever. God, I need somebody to help me preach it tonight. Tell somebody you need to get your joy back tonight. Be seated. But you know what it took? It took God continuing to talk to Elijah until he preached Elijah up out of that place. Like it or not, sometime when sorrow done overtook you, you need a preacher to come. You need a bona fide. You need an anointed preacher to say to you, why are you there? That's what God is using me to do tonight in Bible study, to challenge some of us. Why are you there? They turned me down, Pastor. I don't care. You've been turned down before. Why are you there? The same person that turned you down can call you in 7 days and say, I changed my mind. Pastor, I lost something, yeah, but losing nothing ain't no reason to go into the place that you done went into. But see, I'm going to tell you something tonight that some of these phony preachers won't tell you. God is not obligated to tell you everything. That's where your faith got to come in. That's where you got to trust him. I'm talking to somebody tonight where if the Lord want me to have joy, then let somebody just come through here riding on a horse tonight and just try to get in the sanctuary. And then I'm going to know, yeah, that is God. You better come out of that place. God does not have to do what it is that you try to mandate him to do. He's calling for you to trust him tonight. He's giving you a word that it's time for you to come out of that place. You know the reason God wanted Elijah out of that place? Because he had something for Elijah to do. Most of the time that sorrow tries to overtake a child of God, it shows up to block what it is that God would have for that person to do. How many know that's real tonight? If God gives you an assignment, watch the enemy try to show up and hinder you from doing what God wants you to do. By taking trouble, disappointment and such, and causing sorrow to attach itself to you.